blog Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie and I want to welcome you. The first thing I want to say though is this is episode 2 titled Introduction. My first episode, episode 1, titled Welcome, I accidentally introduced my vlog incorrectly. I said it was edible.thoughts.makes, which is actually my Instagram handle. But here is spaces between the words. What happened was I was trying to make them the same, but Instagram doesn't do spaces and YouTube doesn't do dots. So to make it easier to read, instead of all 3 words strewn together, one of them has spaces here and the other one has dots on Instagram. So sorry about that. I will be referencing my notes here because if I don't, I will lose my train of thought and I will probably just ramble or pause. I apologize in advance if parts of the video are spliced together. Toddlers have needs and only mama can figure out those needs sometimes, so I will have to excuse myself occasionally and piece part of the video back together. So, it is a chilly day in November. There was a little bit of snow earlier. It's sunny, but 10 degrees. I think it was actually 20 degrees, but with the wind, it was 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So, a pretty chilly day. This introduction episode will take you on my creative journey to kind of give you a little bit of background on how I got to where I am now, just in the creative world of things. I would say it goes back to when I was born, really, because I'm born into a family of makers, innovators, creators. We make out of necessity, we're resourceful, and we are creative. I learned how to sew, knit, and crochet from my mother at an early age. I still have the I still have the crochet hooks and knitting needles that my mom first bought for me at a garage sale. There's a set of circulars and a few crochet hooks, so that's what I learned on. And I crocheted off and on for several years, and then knitting I picked back up a little bit later because I think it was just difficult for small hands, and if you dropped a stitch it was harder to pick up. So I definitely went more on crochet. I made a few like baby clothes and little stuffed animals and scarves and coasters and things, all crocheted. When I picked up knitting again, I also made baby clothes and hats for all sizes. But they were smaller projects. They worked up quickly, and I think I mostly used worsted or bulky weight yarns. And then in January of 2019, so this year, I decided I wanted to make my first adult size colorwork sweater. So, this is the Arboreal Sweater by Jen Steingass of knit.love.wool on Instagram. So I knitted it out of worsted / Aran weight. So I made them elbow length because at the time sleeves seemed to take forever, and I didn't know how long I wanted to stay on sleeves. But I really liked the elbow length look. Over several months, I realized sleeves aren't that bad. So now I make sleeves that are long and short, just based on my mood. So once I started my first colorwork sweater, I snowballed into making a ton of sweaters, colorwork and non-colorwork. I started test knitting sweaters, and that was super fun. I learned so much about construction of garments, and it was fun to meet other people who were knitting the same garment at the same time as I was, and to meet different designers and get an insight on the behind the scenes of designing, and so that was really fun. In August, I decided to look into knitting socks. These little tiny things always look so complicated but so much fun, and I wanted to give it a try. So I thought, okay, I have a lot of test knits on my plate right now. I'll just go to the library and get a bunch of books. I'll read up on sock construction, learn about sock anatomy, and then be ready to go by the time September, October hits. Oh, hello there. Oh, thank you.
It's a Minnie Mouse sticker.
So in August, I ventured into sock knitting. I was knitting a ton of sweaters up to that point, and I don't really want to say I was burnt out on sweaters, but I just kind of needed something a little bit smaller that took up less yardage, that was easier to take places, so more portable, and worked up quicker. So I got into sock knitting, and at first I thought, okay, I'm just going to go to the library, pick up a bunch of books, read up about sock anatomy, sock construction, different ways to knit it, cuff down, toe up, different heels, different toes, and I'll start in September, October, because I had a lot of other test knits on my plate at the time. Well, I got to reading and I thought, oh, I'll just cast on one and try it. I didn't realize that you could actually knit socks in various weights of yarn. I thought you only could use sock weight yarn, but you can knit them in worsted, DK, sport, fingering, whatever. So I had some worsted weight yarn that I thought I would try them on, and it was so much fun. I loved it. And so far I haven't had second sock syndrome where you only knit one and then don't knit the whole pair. So far I feel like if I finish one and then cast on the second one immediately, then I'm good. I have tried knitting two at a time. I didn't love it. Maybe I'll try it again later, but it just felt really clunky to me. And then if I was knitting one, like the other side was just kind of hanging there, making me feel really off balance. So I might try it again someday, but so far I really enjoy knitting one at a time, and I'm getting the pair done, so it's serving its purpose. And something I've learned through these years of making is that I am very much a product maker. So I pick projects based on what they look like at the end, how I think they'll fit into my wardrobe or how they will fit into my lifestyle, and then I read through, if I'm able to read through like what techniques are being used, and see if I'll learn something new, see if it's not going to be too frustrating or nitpicky or fussy, because if the process isn't going to be fun, I probably won't pick the project. Also, I'm not as much of a process maker because I feel like process makers don't mind frogging back, like ripping back a project and fixing a mistake. I feel like if there's a mistake and it doesn't affect the outcome of my project that much, I'll just keep going. If it's close enough back that I can rip back without having to redo a whole bunch of things, or I feel like if I mess up on the ripping back, it's not going to mess up my whole project where I have to start completely over, then maybe I'll do it, but otherwise I feel like I just kind of move on. Some other things I've learned about myself through making, as far as making sweaters, knitting sweaters go, I prefer knitting top down versus bottom up. I feel like I can try it on as I go, I can adjust the length later based on my mood, and it just flows better for me. Knitting bottom up, I feel like some people will put on a provisional cast on so they can add length after if they feel like they need it, but I don't like to do that. Excuse me. I just like the flow of the top down better. Along with that, yokes have like a raglan construction where you increase on both sides of the shoulder, or there's a circular yoke where you kind of increase, your increased stitches are spread throughout. And I really like the circular yoke. I feel like that flows for me better too, and I make less mistakes. With the raglan, I feel like sometimes I either forget if I'm on an increase round, or I might have increased all of them except for one, because by the time I got to the other side, I forgot. So the circular yoke, there's usually like a pattern, like knit 4, increase on the 5th, or something like that. So then I can kind of keep going, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. So that works better for me. What else? So speaking of things that I have noticed about myself too, I am not a monogamous knitter, meaning I don't knit on one project at a time. I have several projects going on at the same time. If you've heard of the term cast-on-itis, it means you just have like an itch to have to cast on things all the time. And I do really like that. I do cut myself off at a certain number of work in progresses because I feel like then I get overwhelmed. And I feel like that number is generally around 8 to 10 of them. My projects tend to be of different weights because also I have a number of needles, right, of certain sizes, and so the projects can't be using the same size simultaneously. Or if they do, they have to be on different sized circular or cables. So I like to have fingering weight going on at the same time as worsted or bulky or things like that, because I feel like sometimes my hands get tired holding a certain needle size or working with a certain project, and so switching it up is nice for me. I also like having projects that don't require a lot of thinking. So if it's like stuck in it and around, maybe it's just on the body of a sweater, or maybe I'm making a basic sock that doesn't have a pattern, I like to take those ones out with me because I can start and stop much easier, so I can get interrupted and it's not a big deal. I won't lose count. So I like those a lot too. So I think that is about it for my fiber arts journey or my making journey. I will link some resources below in the description box of things that I have found really helpful, including my journey in sock knitting and my Ravelry page, Edible Thoughts, no space, has a lot of projects in there with tons of notes. So my notes generally have links to tutorials that I've used as well, and I find that helpful for myself too if I'm going back and looking at things like, oh wait, what was that I needed? And I find it helpful for others. Excuse me. If you're looking for a project to do and you're not sure if it's one that you want to do, I feel like notes can really help with that, with tips and tricks or modifications. So thank you for watching. Cheers to being creative, and we'll see you in the next episode.